Hey, does it feel like your mixed voice, head voice, and chest voice are always in a constant boxing match with each other? When you try to go up for the higher notes, you get breaks, cracks, pain, strain, and tension, and you can never ever truly belt out those notes soulfully or ever feel free when you walk up to that microphone or walk into that studio. Hey, my name's Isaiah Harris. I'm a vocal coach. My average student starts singing higher, pain, strain, and tension free in just as little as 2 weeks and adds nearly a full octave to their range and can very much smoothly go through all their registers in just as little as 2 months. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the exact process to master all of your registers from chest, mix to head, and for this to never, ever, ever mess up your singing again, I guarantee it. So today's training is something that I pulled out of my private Unlock the Voice singing coaching program, where I did a in-depth full training and breakdown on how to master every nuance of every aspect of your mix, head, and chest voice for you to really be able to belt out those notes strong. This is something that was normally just reserved for my paying students, but I really wanted to give you guys some value out here on YouTube, so I decided to include it here for free. You're going to get so much value out of this, and I cannot wait for you to see it. Also, too, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. That way you can stay tuned for all of the more amazing singing content that I'm going to continue to put out. Okay, so today's training is going to be all about demystifying chest voice, head voice, and mixed voice. Because there are so many different trainings out there, so many different ways of how people define, oh, sing this in your chest, sing this in your head, sing this in your mix, or oh, I need to access my mix more, or oh, that note, it should have been in the head instead, or oh, you should have done that a little bit more chesty. And this is really all about making so much more of this like a bajillion times clearer for all of you guys. So it's really important to understand that you shouldn't think of the voice as all of these separate, unconnected parts, and you should truly think of the voice as one unique and unified system. You never want to think of any issue that you have with your voice as, oh, it's just this one isolated thing. It's always this interconnected loop of multiple different things and multiple different factors that are getting in the way of whatever that specific problem is. That makes sense to everybody?
It does.
Okay, so really, in terms of focusing on things being one, you need to understand that your voice, from the chest voice to the mix to your head voice, everything operates on a spectrum. And the shifts that happen in your voice, they happen in such a subtle way that it's almost imperceivable as your voice transitions from one note to another as you're going higher and higher in pitch. And a really good way to think about this is kind of like a sunset. So, when sunset starts to come, you see the sun going down, and, you guys see all these different phases that it's going through. And, before you know it, you look outside and you're like, oh, it's dark outside now. But wouldn't it be kind of odd if, we started out and, right at like 5 p.m., the sun starts setting, and then 2 minutes later, we're here. Or even 10 minutes later, it gets up to here. Or 30 minutes later, it's a complete and total blackout. Also, too, wouldn't it be kind of strange if it's like 9 a.m. in the morning and it's totally dark? Like the apocalypse probably happened, there's probably some serious issues. And the same goes with your voice, to where when you are singing a certain part and you're trying to go for a phrase in a song, and that certain particular phrase, like, such as, if we go fly me to the moon, if I go, fly me to the moon, and I go the let me take, and I croak and I croak and I croak. The croaking on the let me dance when it's supposed to be let me dance among the stars. The reason why that skip happened was because you did not smoothly go through all of the different phases of the transition of that specific vowel phrase from your head, from your chest voice to your mix, all the way into the head. And you shouldn't think of this as, oh no, there's something wrong with me, I just can't hit it. It's simply just you were skipping over phases through this process of this metaphorical sunset to make sure that the note was being hit smoothly. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions on this part?
not so far.
Okay, awesome. Glad we're all on the same page here. So, the next way that you really need to think about this with us transitioning from going from our chest to the mix all the way into the head is we need to understand every vowel phrase that we would ever sing in a song is going to have its own sunsetting structure of, okay, here's the very start where we got that bright and shining sun all the way to it getting completely dark and being pitch black. And if we don't take every phrase from the song through that incremental structure, it's like we're fitting a square peg in a round hole. So a way to really think about this is like years ago I was a part of this like really elite choir, and with the director and conductor, he had us sing this one particular phrase in a song, and it started out where it would go, winter in their cry. That was the phrase that we were singing. And what the conductor noticed is that the majority of us, when we would sing the word cry, we went cry, 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 and it had this winter in their cry, yeah, 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 and it had that disgusting, like, throatiness type of sound to it. And the conductor looked at us all and he said, hey, you're not supposed to sing this the same way that you sing a regular, like, I, because what you're doing there is you're fitting a square peg into a round hole. What I want you to do on this particular phrase in the song is I want everyone to actually sing winter in their craw. And we all looked at me and was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, why are we singing winter in their craw? And, you know, we all gave it a try and we went, winter in their craw. And then we all looked back at the recording and we noticed, oh, wow, that actually comes out way smoother, way less I, and there was like less tension and less strain inside of it. And essentially what he had explained to us is you don't sing every single vowel the same way that you would speak that specific vowel. You know, because naturally you just say winter in there, cry, but you sing it in a totally different way. Or another example is like, you know, if we go, you know, like Whitney Houston's, and I will always love you. Like the and I, if I go like, and I will always love you, like what I had there was a bit more of an If I go, and if I add that the way I would speak it's square peg inside of round hole. I need to go, and so you see, like, do you guys hear some of that behind it?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you guys notice that's like different about adding the to it as opposed to, oh, just speaking it, singing it the exact same way that you'd speak it?
It's open.
I was about to say it sounded like the whole oral cavity just opened and had more space to resonate.
Yes, exactly. There's more and more openness to it to make sure that it comes out more effectively. Now, the thing though is most people, when they're learning vowel modification, they get to a point to where they essentially have to memorize every single vowel and every single peg and every single hole that you would have to place things inside of. And that becomes very, very difficult. I've mentioned this story to some of you guys here before, but it's worth restating that, there's a coach that I saw on YouTube, and she had brought up the fact that she had, in her early days, read this book that was like 120 pages, and every single page was a different way of how to shape a vowel for different types of songs that you were singing. And she was like ecstatically saying, I adore this book. It's so amazing. It's helped me so much as a singer. But I don't know about you, but I don't have the time to memorize 120 different ways to sing a specific vowel. By the way, if you've been loving this training, be sure to check out my free training in the link below that goes over the 3 biggest singing mistakes that hold so many singers back. It's going to go in even more depth on all of the other major mistakes that you're making with vocal warm-ups, and really how to use those so that you can effectively finally start putting out songs that you're proud of, having gigs that you're proud of, and just an overall solid singing career that allows you to fully have the impact you know that you are meant to have in this world. Now, this is where vowel modification and our unique breakthrough singing formula method comes, of how to specifically train your voice to naturally pick up the shifts in the sunset, or naturally just instinctually know, okay, this is the peg I need for this specific hole, for this specific way that I'm singing the song. And this here is our breakdown of all the different vowels from A, E, I, O, U, to how it is that you're going to shift them from when you are doing this in your lower range of your chest voice, when you're doing this in your mid range of your mixed voice, and when you're doing things in the higher range of your head voice. And, to your point that you had mentioned earlier, Javon, how you said, and also you as well, Adam, how it was wider when I did that, Whitney Houston example, like there was more wideness when I produced that vowel in the proper singing way instead of the proper speaking way. Well, a good way to think of this framework here that we have on the sheet is that basically the lower section of your voice and of your range, what you're going to be having here is you're creating a wider space inside of your voice for that vowel to resonate. And the higher up we go in range, the more narrow of a space that you're creating for that specific type of vowel to be able to resonate. So far, what questions do you guys have here on this section?
A reminder on how to widen that space.
Yeah, well, that's the next thing that we're going to get into, of how to transition this to where your body is naturally going to widen and naturally narrow on all the right and specific parts in all the various different songs.
Right.
And so essentially, like, what we're going to do here is we'll start here on practicing what this looks like with us doing a simple A vowel. Okay? So I'm going to give a quick little demonstration here, and you're going to see. So with this, we always start with a nice little hum as we do an octave slide up these vowels, and you do this right in that dead center of your golden spot range as you are doing the exercise. So we'll do it with a hum and then a transition into our A vowel here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so, like, you guys notice how I smoothly transition that from an A sound like ape to an like umbrella to an like apple. Okay. And the other thing too is, did you guys notice how as I did it, you couldn't really quite tell where the A like ape sound ended and the like sound started to begin, and then the like apple sound and that started to end. But yeah, did you guys notice that part?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so who here can tell me why the subtlety of that is so important?
Because go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Javon.
I was going to say that they are naturally widening the space as you go lower, those vowels, voicing them that way.
Bingo, yes. And yes, when you add the subtlety to it, it's training the mechanism in your whole unified system of the voice to automatically widen the lower half of your register and then transition into narrowing it up on the higher half of your register. And what this is going to do is, and we're going to go through each of these one at a time and, do some practicing. But essentially, when you practice the A vowel like this, anytime that you then come across an A phrase in a song, your voice is naturally just going to pick up, oh, this is what the A should sound like. This is what the version of this should sound like. Because, like, if I'm singing a song and off the top of my head, I can't think of like a pop modern song that has the word ape, but I'll just make something up. If I were to go like, I'm a crazy ape, versus if I go, I'm a crazy apple. You notice how there's a slightly different energy behind that, even though the pitch was relatively the same there. And now, if I were to go even higher, like, if I, bring that up a few keys, like, I'm a crazy ape. You notice there how I said ape? It wasn't as full ape. I went ape. You see that subtle transition in just how ape sounded?
Yeah, I did.
And did you notice that too, Javon?
Could you do it again?
Yeah, I'll do another demonstration. So, for example, if I go like a little bit lower in pitch, if I go like, I'm a crazy ape, versus, I'm a crazy ape. See, you notice there was an ever so slightly subtle, it was more like ape when I went higher, versus the lower version, I was going ape, ape.
Gotcha.
And the reason why this is so important is because what's the number one thing that separates a top-notch celebrity level singer from a basic singer? Not
very much.
Yeah, not much at all. It is these little teeny tiny tweaks. Your favorite artist, just fill in the blank, whoever that artist is, when they are on stage, what makes them so great is their voice knows, okay, this is where I need to use more of an ape type of sound for this A vowel. Or, oh, I know when I need to use more of an A type of sound for this specific vowel. Okay? So who wants to volunteer to give it a practice run with doing a nice little octave slide on A?
Sure, I could do it real quick.
Okay, awesome.
Set up.
I'm gonna find something.
My trusty box to set the laptop on.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
So A to A, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yep. A to A. All right, so, and remember we started out with a nice little hum for a few seconds, and then we transitioned from that A to the to ah. Okay. All right, so let's go at this. 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Great, great. That was a good, smooth, solid transition back and forth through that vowel sound. And did you notice too how like there was no cracking in that?
Mm-hmm.
I
So
noticed
another big
ever so
thing.
it wasn't really a crack, but I did feel a bit of a um what was it? Maybe a little dryness, maybe just a slight lack of smoothness as it went settled toward the bottom again.
Yeah, and that was probably like you just needed like a little bit more water in your system.
Okay.
But my big point is like, because, a lot of folks, they'll crack as they're trying to go for those higher notes. And what that is it's your voice, it's skipping phases of the sunset. It's 5 p.m. and at 5:15, it's pitch black. Or it's 3 p.m. in the middle of the day and oh crap, the sun's out, man, the apocalypse is here. Let's get in our bunkers, man. The world is over. And it's having that smoothness and the subtlety. Okay. Now, let's move on now to the E vowel. Who wants to give the E vowel a try? Okay, I'm just going to volunteer you, Devon, since, Adam went on the last one.
Okay.
Okay. And also make sure you have original sound for musicians turned on.
Okay.
You have it switched on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, awesome. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And remember, start with a hum for a few seconds, and then you're going to transition from like everything to like umbrella as you get halfway there, and then to an E like beat. Okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go. There, great. How'd that feel?
Um, it felt better once I figured out what I was supposed to be doing. Um, I see what you mean about it being like a gradient slide.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, did you almost feel as you started to go up, like you felt kind of cavities opening?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what that is that's all the different phases of the sunset of that vowel to make sure that you're opening up pockets so that it can get to the higher ranges without the cracks, breaks, strains, or you trying to force the chest voice up.
Oh.
See, it's making sense now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, next, let's give this a try here with the I vowel. All right, we'll have you go, Adam, on I. So we're doing I like ice cream, like umbrella, and I like igloo. So one thing I want to point out about with I specifically is, or I'm sorry, brain fart. I meant to save that for a later part. So yeah, we're gonna do that I vowel here. I like ice cream, like umbrella, and then I like igloo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Beautiful. And how did that feel going throughout all those different cavities of your registers?
I mean, it felt, I didn't really have to think too much about it. It just sort of kind of went up and down. I mean, it helps that, we've been working on this for a while, so.
Yep, and I love that you said you didn't have to think about it. And that is the whole point of this, to where it's getting things to such a level of automation in the voice to where we don't need to constantly, consciously be thinking, oh, what am I doing here? Which one of these holes is this peg going to go into? Instead, we can just let our minds relax and actually just start singing. Because that's another thing that is the not much that separates those celebrity level singers from those average singers, to where those top-notch singers, they get to the point to where it's second nature and they just know, whoop, this is how we're transitioning this vowel. And I ain't got to think about it at all. Because also, too, back to how I mentioned a bit earlier, that when you're doing things inside of your head voice, that is where you do any of your reactionary phrases that you say. Like if you go, what? Huh? What? Really? Like anything you go like as a sudden reaction, that's always going to be done in your head voice, and your body naturally does that. And so you go, what? Huh? Really? It's because for speaking, your voice naturally and automatically knows, oh, this is how I modify the vowels to make a what? Huh? Like really sound, so that I can speak the way I need to. And this is just training you to do the same with your singing voice. Because also another way to think about it is nobody goes, what? You're tripping. Like no one does that. Because it's just not natural. Like try it real quick. Like each of you go like, what? You gotta be kidding me.
Well, you gotta be kidding me.
What? You gotta be kidding me.
Like, you see how unnatural that sounds?
Yeah.
Like, and if you were in conversation with someone and they talked to you like that, wouldn't you think there's something strange about them?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And the same is with the voice. And in these early stages, so many singers, they mess up and they don't sound authentic and they don't sound like their true voice is coming out because they're using a chest voice vowel when they should be at a high voice vowel, or they're using a mid voice vowel when it needs to be a chest voice vowel.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's starting to make the light bulbs go off.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, now let's try the O vowel. Let's have you give that a try here, Devon.
Okay.
And you're lucky getting O here because O is the absolute easiest one to do. So we start here with O like open, and then we transition to we stay on an O like open midway through, and then we shift that to an oo like boot. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. Great, amazing. So one interesting thing I want to point out as well too about all this like vowel modification stuff. So like back when I was initially just learning the basics of doing these types of hums and octave slides, and back when like I was learning from my coach who mind you trained Katy Perry before she was famous. What he did is he taught me just to do an O to oo transition with the vowels. He's like, oh, just do like a siren slide. Go like, oh. And one of the things he said is, Isaiah, I want you to work to get this to the point to where you don't have any cracks with your oo slide that you're doing. And I go, oh. And I'd be cracking all throughout. And he was an amazing coach. Like, do not get me wrong. Like, I owe everything that I know to all the different stuff that he had taught me. But even in him teaching me how to do this transition, he never visually showed me, oh, this is the map out of how each of the vowel components worked. And it was probably about like maybe 4 months of consistently doing like these O to U transitions. But as I really kind of mastered and honed more of this for myself, and now like when I'm teaching this to people, it takes on average only about sometimes as little as 3 days to usually no more than about 4 weeks where I teach a student to transition, and they're able to do all of these because they have this framework I'm giving you here without any cracks or breaks in the voice whatsoever.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the reason why is because, still adored my coach. He was absolutely amazing. He taught me, okay, we're starting with the sun coming out and we need to get all the way to sunset. But he never showed me all the other images in the phase, and it made it so much harder. And what I'm showing you here is here's every single image at every single interval to get us all the way to sunset.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what kind of is standing out to you guys about all this?
Yeah, one thing that I think I meant to mention earlier, but must have forgotten, along with the images of going from the sun being up to the sun setting, I think it did help, like between going from the low to the high vowels. I think it was when I was going I to I, it was sort of like, I know I'm going to I. And so it was like I told everybody, like, do whatever you need to do to get to I. And then it got to I. And we're like, all right, we're going back to where we were. So yeah, I think there is something to that about having that endpoint in mind. And the vowel will just naturally take you there.
Yep, exactly. Because it's, you're training your body of the spacing that it needs to make. Because back to the other point of like how your head voice is your reactionary voice. When you go, what? Like your brain knows instantaneously. Before I go, what? It knows, okay, I need to create this little itty bitty space back here. I need to raise my upper soft palate in such a way so I can go, what? But versus I go, what? I'm not creating the right space and it sounds off. But also on the inverse, when you're in the chest voice, that's everything in just your natural speaking range. Because like if I were trying to go, let's say, I was about to say like, hey baby, like you're gorgeous. Like that's something you say in a very meaty voice. But if you walk up to a girl and you're like, hey baby, you're gorgeous. Like it's probably not going to go very well because you're using a head voice space and vowel shape for a chest voice type of emotion that you're trying to convey. And that's also, too, a big reason why, like, if you were ever picked on as a kid, I definitely was, usually sometimes, like, people, they just perceive your voice to be kind of like, oh, it's weak, it's not as strong, like, hi, nice to meet you. And as mean as it sounds, like, our brains are wired that if someone speaks in a certain way, we automatically put them into a certain category. And obviously, bullying's a horrible thing. It shouldn't be done. Like, it's awful. But when you talk in those certain ways, it conveys a certain type of emotion. And once again, back to singing, there's certain ways that if you want to convey the right emotion when you sing, you're going to need the right types of vowels for when you sing. Yeah, still making sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, now let's give this a try with the umbrella, or you, like umbrella vowel. Okay, whose turn is it next?
I think it's mine. And so
Okay,
the
awesome.
space there, does the O on the mid, does that apply as well to O-U? Or does it stay on the
Yeah,
the way
so,
to the
so so
mid?
this one here, the reason why I left it out is because the U vowel is kind of unique to where, so all of these others, like on the low end, we have essentially, so like umbrella, we're starting and then we're ending with like you, which this is the, in, speaking English, the long form of that vowel. Because these are like u, a, e, ah, essentially. And that's part of the reason why this is left out. And also, this goes back once again to why singing is a different language than speaking, because this isn't necessarily a one-to-one translation for the same way that you would speak an to you type of vowel. Okay. All right. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, that was pretty good. I didn't get the full U like unicorn out of that, because you kind of gave like a I wanted to have a little bit more definite of like
That actually was going to be my next question of how to differentiate the U from oo, as in boot.
Yeah, so because it's very, very subtle. And this is more back to like the subtlety, like you saying that it's like, how do I differentiate the difference of how a sunset looks at 5 o'clock versus 5:01? There is a difference, but it's so subtle. And essentially, the more that you do this, your voice will pick up that level of subtlety. Because I can verbally tell you needed to go you instead of ooh. But there's really a different clicking in the more repetitions that you do it, that your voice picks up, oh, this is the 1 degree or 1 minute difference of how this vowel should be. Okay. So another thing to make this more effective is doing these in repeated cycles until you're completely and totally out of breath. So I'll do an example here on our A vowel so that you guys can see. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, let me clear out the drawing board. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I did that until I was totally and completely out of breath. And this essentially is the equivalent of us doing these repetitions. It's like us going through, instead of just one day from, the start of that sun going down all the way to a full sunset, we're basically packing a whole month's worth of sunsets into one exercise so the muscles catch on faster. Oh, here's the 1 degree difference. Here's the 1 minute difference between all these different vowels. Okay. Another thing I also want to point out about this, and I'll stop screen share so you can see a little bit more visually what's going on in my voice, is with each and every single one of these, your lips, your teeth, and your tongue are going to be shaped in different ways with the vowel. So if I go it was extremely subtle, but you noticed when I was on A, the mouth was a little bit more open. And then when I went to ah, the mouth was a little bit more narrow. Do you guys notice that?
Yeah.
Not a ton.
And that's the big piece of how on the sheet here, you'll notice this part of how I say the wideness that we're making. So here in these chesty voice notes, we're making our mouths a little bit wider because we're creating a wider amount of space, versus we're creating a much more narrow amount of space. And you'll notice the same goes when you speak. So like everyone like say ape, ape.
Ape.
Now say apple.
Apple.
See, do you notice the difference in space?
Ape. Apple.
Ape. Apple. Ape. Apple.
See, which one of those
Very, very
words took
slightly.
more space?
Ape was wider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
to
what
me,
was
it felt
narrow?
like ape it felt like it widened a little bit vertically, just a little bit more, and on apple it widened horizontally just a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's those slight little transitions in the type of spacing that you're making with these. Okay, now let's try say everything.
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 Now say beat.
Beat.
Okay, now say ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Now say igloo.
Igloo.
Now say open.
Open.
Now say boot.
Boot.
Now say umbrella.
Umbrella.
Now say unicorn.
Unicorn.
Yep, see? All these various different pieces of these vowels and all the different ways that you're shaping them is going to make such a difference. You know, there's a certain way that we speak. There's a reason why I don't go, hey, baby, or, oh, what was that? What was that? And there's the same reason why I don't go, and I will always love you. Whew. And I know I was doing that like on purpose to show an example, but that actually really hurt my voice. And I'm not sure if you could tell, it's actually sounding a little strained. And that's the reason why your voices, when you're struggling, will sound strained. It's because when you try a bajillion times to fit a square peg in a round hole, it eventually is going to damage the peg and the hole. Okay, I actually probably went a little too far with that example because, like, I'm actually really feeling it in my voice right now. Yeah, I'm going to get plenty of water when this is over here. But yeah, what questions do you guys have?
I think I need just some time to digest it and try it out and to work on the slight muscular adjustments needed to make these.
Yeah, and it'll take some time to, kind of work it out, but then eventually you're going to notice that, oh, wow, my voice is just automatically going to start adopting all of these things, and it's just going to translate to amazing singing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm kind of in a similar boat, but also, like, a lot of the questions that did pop up for me earlier actually got answered, I think. Asking the difference between you and oo. I think I needed to hear that, you're actually supposed to pronounce the y in you as you ascend.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I think that was one of the bigger distinctions I was needing.
Yep, and just going like so much further on all of the nuance of the various different levels of subtlety. Because yes, we have A, E, I, O, U as these 5 core vowels. But really, when you look at the spectrum, it legitimately is there are infinite amounts of vowels. And I don't know about you, but I don't have an infinite amount of time to learn all the infinite vowels. But we got this to make it all come way easier and way quicker.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, overall, how'd you guys like this training?
It was a really good refresher for me. Or context, Javon, Isaiah and I first went over this stuff months and months ago. And actually still keep my sheet on hand
Oh,
when I'm
nice.
practicing. But like just hearing it again, it reminded me like, oh, I should be doing this as well when I'm still working with this. And it's, you know, you regularly, I often find myself regularly having to go back, not just with this stuff, but with other things in my life. I have to go back and review things that I've done and then reapply it to what I'm working on.
Same.
Yeah, no, it's if only I had this a couple hours ago when I was working on one of the songs I'm recording for the band. There's one very specific word that was giving me trouble, and now I go, oh, no, now I know now I know how to work on it. Okay, I guess that's what I'll be doing tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. But how'd you like this, Siobhan?
I enjoyed it because I've seen bits and pieces of this chart in previous lessons, and I wanted to understand more about the intricacies of it and how it plays out. I like whenever there's something that, you know, the knowledge in this could be those 120 pages of whatever people were memorizing, but to give us something small like this that we can extrapolate what we need is so helpful versus like just filling my head with a ton of knowledge that can get lost easily.
Yeah, completely. Because like the other thing with this too is like before I really grasped this, like whenever I would like be taking lessons with like other coaches or even like I talked to friends, what would literally happen is it would basically be the coach. They would have them sing a song and they literally have to memorize every phrase of the song. And every time they mess up, they need to remember, oh, no, I need to sing this phrase this way, or I need to sing this phrase this way. And like there's never any instinctualness that was inside of it.
Mm, that'd be rough. I think it would be helpful to see each of for you to give an example of each of the vowels and maybe explain, because I love details, and
Mm-hmm.
as far as my body, I feel slight adjustments very acutely. So just like explaining what some of the differences are, because like everyone could say their eyes a little bit differently, or their
Okay.
A
Yeah.
their E.
I'll do that super quick right now. Yeah. That's real simple, real basic. So yeah. So basically, like with this here, when it comes to the spectrum of all things in a vowel, there's multiple increments of what you're trying to accomplish in between these transitions. So for example, if I go from the A like ape, partway through the like umbrella, I'm going to have a it's more of a ah. It's more of almost a W U type of sound, and then that gets me into the U territory. You see
Mm,
that?
gotcha.
And then when I go from the like umbrella, I'm getting more of an type of sound. Okay? And then, for example, when I go from like everything, I go This is more of a almost kind of like it's still an EH, but it's an EH with a little bit more, a bit of an elongated E, more like E. and then that transitions us into like umbrella. Did you see that?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so and then when we go from like umbrella, we're
I didn't
going
I didn't so much mean like this. I just mean like, for instance, when you say like how are you supposed to hold your mouth when you do Is there more space in the back of the mouth? Is there less space in the front of the mouth? Like what are the golden examples that we're trying to achieve with each of these different
oh, okay.
voices?
Yes, I love that you asked that question because that's another beauty of this system. If
Mm,
you do the system, I don't even need to tell you how to do that. Your voice will pick it up automatically.
gotcha.
Dead
Okay.
serious.
Gotcha.
Because
Gotcha.
that's the thing to where, yes, I can tell you, this space like this space like this. But literally, what will happen is when you're doing this, and especially when you're doing it all the way until you're out of breath, getting all those rounds of sunsets, your voice will just say, oh crap, for me to keep transitioning like this, I'm gonna need to loosen some space up here. Oh, I'm gonna need to loosen the tongue in this way, or I need to angle the lips in this specific way. And that's another reason why like these are so powerful, is because if you follow the framework, even if you make mistakes on the framework, more
Mm.
than half the people that I teach this to mess up on like 60 to 80% of it, but they'll still come back to me a week or two later and be like, Isaiah, wow, I am seeing some results with this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Adam, you're shaking your head there, like, because you notice even when you were making mistakes, still you were getting results.
Oh yeah, and it's also a good reminder that just because you're working on it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect.
Mm.
This stuff takes time to sink in.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's like the beauty of the system. Like, you don't need to be perfect for it to work. You just use the system, and it makes your voice more and more perfect. Ain't that right, Adam?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Awesome. So, guess that wraps things up here for today. Um, in terms of one other thing, in terms of like the homework to make sure you're implementing this right, what I would do is go through this sheet and do each of these 3 to 5 times with every single vowel on a daily basis. And also make sure you have warmed up though prior to doing this, because this is highly effective, but also this is very, very dangerous if you have not warmed up. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. Make sure you do like some basic level warm up before you go into these.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, super good seeing you all on today's class, and yeah, I will see all you guys next week.
Awesome.
Sweet.
See you guys then.
We'll see you guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.